Hello. Welcome on back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. For today's look, I'm going to create one of my most requested looks of all time from my clients. Usually, my clients don't really ask for a particular eye makeup style or lip color, but they're always telling me, Spence, whatever you do, make me look snatched, which is exactly what we're going to do today. So if you want to learn how I created this look right here, then keep on watching. So to begin, I'm mixing together my Plexiglass Illuminator along with the Dewy Serum from Tatcha to prep our model's skin. Now you can apply these separately, but what I love about mixing together the Plexiglass Illuminator with a serum is that it shears it out a bit. So when you apply it all over the face, it gives a really beautiful, soft glow to the skin. Because honestly, if I'm using the Plexiglass alone, I just like to use it on the high points of my face. But when it's mixed in with a skincare product or even with your foundation, I apply it everywhere because it makes for a natural dewy finish without making the skin look oily or overly shiny. So now that we have the skin prepped, I'm going to go in with the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation in the shade 7.5. I'm using this shade today because we're going for a bit of a tan here. Our model, Lex, usually likes to go a little deeper with her foundation shade, and I'm the same way, especially when working in front of the camera with a whole bunch of bright lights. Things can look a little washed out, and because we share really similar skin tones, I'm using the same shade that I use on myself when I want to have that sun-kissed look. It's not a crazy difference, but it's definitely enough of a difference that I have to bring it down the neck and up onto the ears to make sure everything looks even. Luckily for me, she's going to change into a turtleneck dress, so we don't have to go too overboard with bringing this foundation down. To contour, I'm using the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick in the shade Medium Dark to add some definition to her cheekbones and around the perimeter of the forehead. You can see here that I'm not using a ton of this product. A little goes a very long way. I'm not taking the product and drawing on the contour and all that. I'm using less product by applying it to the back of my hand first, working the bristles of of this blush brush into the product, and then lightly buffing it into the skin. And I've taken that cheek contour up and out because I want to get that real snatched look, lifted look that we're going for today, which will complement the eye makeup we create later on. Once we have this blended, I'm using the Jouer Essential High Coverage Concealer in the shade Lace and applying this to the under eye area before blending it out. You'll also see me later on apply this, the same concealer down the center of the nose to highlight that area as well. But I definitely want the brightest area of the face today to be the under eyes. I love a bright under eye. I do. I love it. And I know it was more popular to do like 10 years ago, but I don't know. I've been spending way too much time on TikTok lately, and I feel like the bright under eye is having a comeback. Are you guys noticing that? Or is it just me? And yes, of course, I know that the all natural look is still all the rage, but listen, I'm not setting up all this filming equipment to pop on a little gloss and some mascara. I love my glam. That's why I got into makeup to begin with. I love a good transformation. And I'll say this, because I didn't mean to talk about it in last week's video. On New Year's Eve, someone asked me, Spence, what are you most proud to have accomplished this past year? Or, something like that. You know what I mean? And I got to thinking about it. And one of the first things that came to my mind was I've gotten over a lot of the insecurity I have surrounding my craft, which is makeup. And by insecurity, what I mean is I always feel like I'm anticipating criticism. It's almost like seeing a magic trick for the first time. You're blown away when you first seen it, right? But when it's revealed how the trick is done, it loses that magical factor. Does that make sense? That's how I feel sometimes with my tutorials. When people see only the final makeup look, they're blown away. But when they're shown each and every step in detail of how I create it close up in HD. That's when someone's got something to say and start critiquing and nitpicking every little thing. The eyeshadow isn't perfectly blended. The eyebrows are uneven. Too much of this, not enough of that. All these things that they would have never have noticed without seeing the process. Do you know where I'm going with this? By the way, here I'm just taking the one size translucent powder to set the concealer around the eyes, and I'll then take a large fluffy face brush with the same powder to set the rest of the face. But anyways, I have a point to what I was saying there. The point being is that what's helped me get over a lot of that insecurity of showcasing my art is you all. Now, of course, there's always going to be someone who has something, negative to say about whatever it is, but I've realized how much support I've gotten from the majority of you over the last year. I was looking back at some of my tutorials thinking to myself, dang, Spencer, why did you post that? The makeup looks crazy. But going through the comments, 99% of them are just you guys amping me up. Like, it's so complimentative, so uplifting and encouraging. And all I could think was, these are my people. This is why I do this. So anyways, I say all that to say thank you. I know I don't say it enough, but really, I mean that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Sorry, story time was a little long today, so let's move on. I have the face makeup completely set with the translucent powder, so now I'm taking the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder in the shade Fair and using this to bake the under eyes, focusing this more so in that inner corner. Lately, for that really bright under eye, I've been using this to bake with, and I absolutely love it. I just leave it here while I do the eye makeup and brows, and when I wipe it off later, it leaves that under eye so bright. Now, if you'd like to look more natural, you may want to skip this step, but today, I'm not going for that natural look. I'm going for glam. So if you like that bright under eye, I definitely recommend you try using this. And for the rest of the under eye, I'm heading back to the translucent powder to lightly bake the area leading up to her temples and the sides of the nose. Because it's translucent, it's not going to leave behind as bright of a highlight as the other powder, because the Maybelline powder has a fair color pigment in it. Alrighty, next up, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pomade in the shade Soft Brown to start shaping and filling in her brows. I can't remember the last time I used this product, but I do remember is that when I used to use it, I used way too much. So I'm literally using the tiniest amount of it and slowly building this up. And I'm starting from the tail end of the brow because that's where I want it to be the darkest. And then slowly start blending this pomade forward for a soft ombre effect as I travel towards the inner portion of her brows. Next up, I'm using this Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo in the shade Ash Brown to lightly set that pomade at the end of the brow. Sometimes a pomade can have a little shine, so this is a great way to mattify it and set it into place. The last brow product I'm using is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze to lock in those brow hairs. I like to first run this product against the direction the hairs grow in and then brush them back into place. Honestly, I love how the brows turned out today. So next, I'm using this shade here from the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette and sweeping this across the lid, focusing the placement in the crease and outer corner of the eye before spending my time blending and diffusing this out for a soft, smoky effect. This doesn't have to be, absolutely perfect. It's just something to give the eyes a little depth and make it look more cohesive with the contours of her face. Once I have that blended, I'm going to create a winged liner with a black eyeshadow. I do this by having her look straight ahead so I have an idea of where I want to place that wing. Then I have her look down and then I draw it right on. I found this to be the easiest way for me to create a winged liner. And by the way, I'm doing this with an angled liner brush. Now I'm going to show you an old school trick here. Take anything with a flat edge that you have lying around. It could be a business card or a thick piece of paper, or in this case, I just just reached for a bobby pin holder. I'm aligning it with that winged that I created and diffusing out those edges a bit with the first brown eyeshadow I used. And then to really diffuse this out, I'm taking a larger blending brush and buffing this out towards the temples with some bronzer. This is going to give us that really sharp lift to the eye, which I think looks so flattering. And it's an easy way to diffuse out the liner without making a mess of the under eye highlight. And to further deepen the color of the wing, I'm placing a bit more black eyeshadow, which I'll also use to extend the inner corner with the liner brush as well. To glam this up a bit, I'm using the shimmer from the same Natasha Denona palette and popping this right onto the center of the lid and brow bone. The shimmers in this palette are so incredible. They really catch the light and make everything look super luxurious and expensive. Now heading over to the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara, I'm running this through the upper lashes. I'll also apply this to the bottom lashes in a minute, but in the meantime, I'm using this on the top before applying on falsies. The false lashes I'm using today are the style Rich AF from Tatti Lashes. I cut off the inner third portion of the lash, so most of the drama is on the outer half, which will really lift the eyes. Next up, I'm using this Too Faced Cream Nude Killer Eyeliner and running this through the waterline. This is going to open and awaken the eyes, especially when I run a little shadow against the lower lash line. And I love that this isn't a bright white either. It's a proper nude shade that looks a little more like natural and softer. So the shadows I'm using for the lower lash line here are a mix of brown and black eyeshadow. I'm not going crazy by making this a full-blown smoky eye. I like how clean the under eye is looking right now, but I'm just adding a smidge of this shadow and some mascara to give it some contrast and definition. By the way, I meant to mention earlier, but if you want, you can totally use a black liquid or gel liner for the upper lash line if you want more drama. I just opted for shadows today because I like how it gives a softer effect. Plus, once you add the lashes on, it adds in more depth. So now we can finally wipe away the powder and you can see the beautiful highlight it leaves behind. Also, because it's so bright, it naturally gives a contour to the nose. Remember, all we did to the nose was highlight down the center. So the contour you see there is actually from the foundation we used to begin with at the beginning. It just looks... I'm so happy. I mean, our model is naturally stunning to begin with, but I'm just loving how this is turning out. Okay, here we go again with that bobby pin holder. I'm using it now to give a slightly stronger contour with a small amount of bronzer. The trick with this is not to put too much product on the brush. We can always add more, but this just gives a subtle strength to that structure. It almost gives that same effect of baking the jawline or cleaning up the eyeshadow with concealer. I used to use this trick all of the time, even before I began my makeup career. I don't know why I ever stopped, but I'm for sure going to start doing this more often. To blush up the cheeks, I'm using these two powder blushes from Makeup by Mario in the shades Creamy Peach and Poppy Pink, and really being generous with this. Most of you know by now how much I love my blush. I always have, I always will, so I go crazy with it. But of course, you can use as much or as little as you like. And what I will say is nice about this step is that it kind of blends the contour and the under eye highlight together for a more seamless effect. Now, I'm not going to be as generous with the highlighter today. I'm just going to dip into that shimmery shade from the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette that we had used earlier on the eyes and just pop this onto the highest points of her cheekbones. Usually I apply it to the cheeks and the nose and the forehead and all that, but I'm enjoying how matte the skin is with that subtle shimmer on the cheeks that ties in the eye makeup. To start on the lips, I'm mixing these two liquid lipsticks together to trace the borders of her lips. One of the lipsticks is called Bow and Arrow from KVD Beauty, and the other is called Chocolate Wasted from Dose of Colors. I'll list them both down below, along with everything else I'm using today, of course, but anyways, I got inspired from someone on TikTok, of course. For the life of me, I can't remember her name, but basically she used this really dark nude liner through a rosy color in the center and then topped it off with a peachy gloss. I absolutely loved it, so that's what we're gonna do today. The rosy color I'm using is this liquid lipstick in the shade Ballerina from CoverGirl. I'm popping this right in the middle. So already we're starting to see that ombre effect come to life. Also, for whatever it's worth, this liquid lipstick from CoverGirl makes for a really pretty liquid blush as well. For gloss, I'm using the City Lips Nude Gloss and applying this all over, really focusing on dragging that deeper lipstick we used on the borders inwards towards the lighter rose shade. Once the gloss sets in and everything kind of melts together, it turns out absolutely perfect. And lastly, I'm using the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray to set and lock that makeup into place, which makes this the final step in how I created this snatched makeup look on our naturally beautiful model.
Wanna get you closer to my body, wanna feel your hands all over me. Gonna make them jealous, everybody, 'cause you know we got it, chemistry.
And there we have it, kids. I hope you all enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, be sure to give this video a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also check out more of my work on my Instagram at Painted by Spencer. And until next time, I'll see you soon.